What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani of the Sports Courier. I have right here via Skype a very special guest. He's one of the standout players of the Brooklyn Nets. You may have seen him play in the G League, dominate, and you may have seen him with the Phoenix Suns. He was balling out in China. This is a man that is the definition of perseverance when it comes to basketball. We're talking to the man himself, Alan Williams, a.k.a. Big Al, a.k.a. Big Sauce. How's it going?
Going well. Doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here, man.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Now, I know at the moment you're working out in Brooklyn. I think the question on every Nets fan's mind is, are you going to be back with Brooklyn next year?
I would love to play in Brooklyn again. The organization is a first-class organization that do things the right way. Obviously, the cards are going to lie how they do, and I at the end of the day, that decision is not necessarily all the way up to me. It's from both sides, but who really knows? But as far as my desire, I think being in Brooklyn will be a good fit for me, and hopefully it can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be great, and the improvement that you guys showed over the course of the season. I mean, a lot of people thought, okay, this is gonna be a rebuilding project. They lost all their draft picks a few moons ago with that KG trade. It's gonna take them a while to compete, and bam, they made it to the playoffs. Got to the first round. We're competitive with the Sixers. I mean, just being a part of that squad, being a part of the development as well in the G League. What are your thoughts on the overall improvement of the Nets?
I think it's a true testament to the job that Sean Marks and Kenny have done, getting in good players and good guys that want to get in there and work every day. They've changed the culture, and now it's something where anybody can really be plugged into that system and be successful. And I think you're going to continue to see the steady growth of the Brooklyn Nets organization within the next couple of years. Great young talent, and like I said, good veteran leadership around, good coaching staff, and good front office. I think it's a combination for success. So being a part of that journey and a part of that culture was amazing for me this past season, and I was very fortunate to be able to do so.
How fun is it to know that you guys have become kind of a meme with the bench celebrations?
It's hilarious. Every time I see it, or my friends send me the pictures, or my family send me the pictures or the gifts or whatever, it's hilarious. It's pure emotion. Basketball is an emotional sport, and I think a lot of times fans or whatever can see it as a little bit overboard or whatnot. But at the time of it happening, it just seems like the right thing to do, to get up and cheer on your teammates and make sure that they know that you have their back no matter what. And I don't think there's a better way of expressing that than celebrating with them when they do something well.
Yeah, man. And you're somebody that is a Phoenix native, played for the Phoenix Suns for a couple seasons. Played with the Brooklyn Nets, went back and forth between the team and the G League team. When the G League team did very well, nearly won a championship, made it to the final and everything. And while you're somebody that hasn't seen a whole lot of playing time, when you have played, I mean, you've really shined. And I feel like, too, like when I mentioned Alan Williams to my friends that are Nets fans, like they all popped. They're like, "Oh my God, like that's awesome!" Like it's kind of cool to see like basketball's growth over the years between the G League, between the NBA, and everything else. How does it feel to be a guy that isn't necessarily considered like one of the quote unquote stars of the team, but a guy that always hustles, always puts in the work, and to have that kind of fan base where people know exactly who you are and can respect your game?
I mean, that's kind of what I try to go out there and do is do something memorable. Do something that's effective, that helps the team win, and people love guys that play hard, and every team needs that. So I know my role and what I can do and what I can really do to help an organization, to help a team out, whether that's on the court or off the court. And every time I get a chance to step on the court and put on that NBA uniform, it's another opportunity for me to go out there and play as hard as I possibly can. I've had injuries in the past, and I can understand that things can be taken away from you at any moment. So I try to go out there and play my heart out every time I get a chance to. So much love to the fans that appreciate somebody that goes out there and hustles and plays as hard as I try to play. So I got a lot of love for him.
You definitely hustle, and you're a hell of a rebounder as well. How did you get so good at rebounding? Did you just watch the Dennis Rodman tapes on a loop? Did you have somebody that worked directly with you and said, okay, you got to do this and that? Like, what led to you becoming an awesome rebounder?
A lot of it stemmed from my dad. So my dad played at the University of Oklahoma for like 3 years during the late 70s, early 80s. And basketball has always been a big part of our life and our family. My brother played as well. And from a young age, we always emphasize rebounding. It's able to change the game in so many ways. I think Kawhi said it best: board man gets paid, and you can really make a good living for yourself if you're able to do that at an elite level, which I feel like I do. A lot of it comes from studying shots, watching film with my own teammates so I can be an effective offensive rebounder, studying a flight of opponents' shots so that I can be an effective defensive rebounder. And I think it goes back to that heart and that grit kind of conversation where I just want it more than the guy that's next to me or in front of me. So if it's 50-50 with anybody out there, I think I got a really good chance of getting it. So I go in there with that mentality, understanding that that's my role on any given team, and to try to do that the best that I can every time I go out there. It's worked for me so far. So hopefully I can continue to do that.
Has there been one particular teammate, whether you were in college or playing in China, the G League and the NBA, one that pushed you more than others, one that you could definitely say, like, oh man, like he really helped me push my game to another level?
I've been blessed to be able to have some really great teammates. I don't know if there's one particular one, but just the veterans that I've been able to play around in Phoenix. I got a chance to play with Leandro Barbosa, got a chance to play with Jared Dudley and PJ Tucker. Three guys who are known for getting in there and mixing it up and doing a lot of dirty work. And so I got a chance to see them and see how successful they were at the roles and their ability to excel in that role. And they just exuded a bunch of confidence in me to go out there and continue to do that, along with guys like Devin Booker and D'Angelo Russell, who know the talent that I have and are just constantly just giving me confidence to go out there and just continue to work. And, it's a long process, a marathon, not a sprint. So no doubt in my mind that I'll be back where I'm supposed to be one of these days. But I know there's a process of doing it, and I'm really happy right now with that grind mentality, trying to put the work in and get back to where I feel like I belong.
And you really stood out, of course, in high school and in college. You ended up playing at UCSB. And from what I understand, you weren't totally heavily recruited, but you ended up going there, having tremendous success, which obviously parlayed your career in the NBA. And if I have this correctly, you are still the school's leading rebounder and scorer of all time.
Not scorer. I was second in scoring.
Okay, second in scoring. Okay.
But first in rebounds, yeah, for sure.
What was that like to be in a school that did believe in you and being able to not just like go there and say, okay, I'm gonna spend a year or two here, but to actually go there, have some real success and make your mark?
I got a chance to be around a great coaching staff led by Bob Williams at UC Santa Barbara, my all-time favorite coach, other than my dad, obviously. But no, it was amazing. The belief he had in me from the very beginning, when nobody else really saw anything in me, he saw something. And I think it was that confidence, anytime a coach can give you that much confidence to go out there and be honest with you and tell you things that you might not want to hear, but you need to hear, you have a chance of being successful. So I think we had a really good relationship, and I was able to grow at Santa Barbara. My game grew so much, my body changed so much, and every step of the way they were with me and continue to push me to do that. So I can go back now with my kids, and hopefully one day my jersey's hanging up there, because I was able to be at a place that really believed in me, and it was a two-way street for sure.
You went undrafted, but ended up in the NBA anyway, and that takes a lot of perseverance to end up on a roster, to be somewhere where you were with the Phoenix Suns for quite a while. A lot of people say, oh man, if you're undrafted, it's the end of the world. But as we all know, there's a lot of players, maybe Ben Wallace is the best example of, it doesn't matter where you end up in the draft, it matters where you end up in the actual game and putting the work in. How were you able to kind of pick yourself back up after the disappointment of not being drafted and continue to push yourself to NBA level?
It kind of happened so fast. On draft day, you go into it with a mindset. I think there was some different scenarios that were in play where I maybe could have been drafted, but I think at the end of the day, being undrafted and having a choice of where I kind of wanted to play summer league and the options afterwards, and obviously the China thing ended up working out. But I think being undrafted was a big thing for me because I wasn't stuck in some kind of system. I wasn't stuck going straight to the G League. I was able to have that freedom. So I got the phone call from my agent shortly after I found out I wasn't drafted, and had my moment where I was like, dang, this kind of sucks. But at the same time, got on that phone and made a decision to go play, and it ended up all working out. So to all those young guys out there that are really pressured on draft night, I understand that the being drafted thing is a cool thing to have on the resume, but a cool thing to have on the resume. But it's not the end all be all, and it wasn't the end all be all for me. So I'm really happy that I was able to have that freedom.
And I feel like you going undrafted, you kind of, not that there's ever a right time to go undrafted, but we've seen the growth of basketball over the years, not just in the NBA, but beyond the NBA level. I mean, the G League has really blown up. The Summer League has blown up, especially, this past summer. You got Big Three. You got all the international ball. You have, the tournament on ESPN. Do you feel like that kind of growth of basketball helped you after going undrafted? Because you did spend some time with the Suns. But you also had a whole lot of success going to China.
Yeah, no, I think it did. I think the expansion of the game is huge for a lot of players out there that haven't found their necessary niche yet in the NBA, because there's financial opportunities all around the world now. And I think that's the biggest part. You can make a living without ever stepping foot on the NBA court. And the dream is always to get to the NBA at the end of the day, but you have such a short window in this game of basketball. You need to maximize your income as best as you can to set yourself up for the future. So I've gone into it with that mindset, understanding that obviously being in the NBA would be a great thing. But at the end of the day, the money is really an important factor. The financial implications is an important factor on where you play and that kind of thing. So I think the growth of basketball and just the ability to play literally year round all around the world is really a good thing. And I think that the sport of basketball itself is really growing into something super special.
And let's face it, there's worse ways to make a living, right, than playing basketball full time and traveling the world.
Absolutely. It's a leisure activity. I get to play a game every day for a living. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I will play for free.
Now, growing up, was basketball always a big part of your life, or was there like another sport or another field you kind of wanted to get into?
No, it was basketball. You know, I played every sport growing up. My parents tried to make me as culturally aware as possible, and then threw me in basically everything. And I could never say no. That was one thing. I always had to try it out, and just gravitated towards basketball. Obviously, my height and my size was a big factor in that as well, and also my dad playing at the level he played at, and him implementing that basketball kind of mentality in the family early was a big thing. But I just have a pure love for it, and it just seemed like a natural thing for me. So anytime I stepped on the court, it just felt like it was a good place for me. So the love for the game for me came early, and I really didn't have another sport that I really loved like basketball.
Now, your nickname Big Al, I mean, it seems kind of self-explanatory. You're big, you're Allen, but how'd you get the nickname Big Sauce?
So Big Sauce came from my brother, actually. He does illustrations for a couple of the newspapers back home in Phoenix, different comic strips and stuff like that. So when he first started out, he was drawing this comic strip on one of our road trips that we took during college or something like that. And my name was Big Sauce. Obviously, sauce is a synonym for swag and stylish, that kind of thing. So I kind of just took it around with it, put it on my Twitter one day, and I remember we played at UNLV my junior year, and the reporter out there used it in one of the articles, and it kind of just stuck. And the Big Sauce was really created right there. And obviously in Phoenix, they gravitated towards it a lot, and I think it's awesome.
You've played in the G League, had a lot of success. You've played in the CBA and in China, had a lot of success. What would you say are like the biggest similarities and differences between the two? For someone that maybe doesn't watch international basketball, doesn't always catch like the G League. Like I guess sell it to us fans and why we should check it out.
What is CBA or the G League?
Both of them, because there's a lot of talent in both leagues.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the CBA has really grown into something really, really, really nice. I think you have a good amount of Chinese players that are good and they're continuing to grow. And the nation of China is really doing a good job of developing talent there. And I think they're funding a lot of resources and stuff to try to make that league one of the top tier leagues in the world, really. So obviously financially it's a good league for American players and also Chinese players. So but it's a tough league. You know, it's physical, it's gritty, and I think it's fun to watch because you get a chance to see the American players really go at it, because it's two Americans on the court, only two Americans on the team. So you see them go at it against different Chinese players and obviously different American players and different international players. So that's fun to watch and exciting to watch. And then the G League has grown into something that I didn't even know it could really become. And I think it's a really good thing. And you're seeing a lot of teams use it for the development of their young players and trying out different things and different schemes. And I think that a lot of the stars that you'll starting to see in the league are going to be able to have some G League experience early. So if you want to check them out early, you might want to do that. So I think it's a big thing for the NBA to have the G League on track the way it is now. So it's all positive stuff.
I know you're focused on possibly coming back with the Nets, but have you looked into possibly doing the summer league this year?
I don't know. That's something that my agent and I will talk about down the line. Obviously, I know it's coming up pretty soon, but I've played in it 2 years, and I think I've showed what I can do in the summer league. And if a team asked me to play, at the end of the day, I obviously wouldn't say no. But I don't have an answer for you right now. I got to talk to my people and try to figure that out. So.
Gotcha. Now we have some fan questions here before we let you go. Some rapid fire ones. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. First off, do you play NBA 2K19?
I have before, but I'm not very good.
What was it like when you saw yourself in NBA 2K?
It was crazy. It was right after I got back from China, signed with the Suns, and I was on there, and it was my face and all the different features, and it was the craziest thing in the world.
Funniest player you've ever shared a locker room with?
Jared Dudley.
Do you have any stories you're allowed to tell on the air?
Yeah, stories a lot. There's not like one particular moment where I've just been like, "Oh, he's hilarious." I think it's just a total. He lives life in such a positive and good way, and he's just jokes. You know what I mean? He's always cracking jokes, always making comments, and he's a great guy and great guy to have in the locker room. So he's hilarious.
Dude is fearless too. I feel like your team kind of rallied around him during that Sixers series too.
I mean, fearless. He's been in the league for 12 years. I don't think there's anything that he hasn't seen yet. So it didn't surprise me when he was chirping back and forth with those guys, and obviously we were right there with him.
What are some pro tips for people traveling to your hometown of Phoenix?
Pro tips: eat good Mexican food. Los Dos Molinos is very delicious, and basically any of the taco joints that you see around the city, take a stop and have a taco or a burrito, and you won't be disappointed. Also, bring water because it's hot as heck out there right now in Phoenix, but it's a beautiful place, and I love it, obviously. So,
besides the population, obviously, biggest difference between playing in Phoenix and playing in Brooklyn?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think the system. I think Phoenix is on track and are doing the right things and taking the right steps to continue to develop their organization into back to where it was when I was growing up. And I think that was just the biggest difference is Brooklyn kind of had that down, and that's why you saw that success in the wins and losses, as to where Phoenix, I think, is developing, and like I said, on that right track to making that happen. So obviously the wins and losses were a big part of it, but I just think that's a testament to where Brooklyn is in the development of their organization as to where Phoenix is trying to get to. So.
At the time we're recording this, obviously the Nets and a lot of teams are prepping for free agency, prepping to make some major moves. Let's face it, the Nets want to get KD, they want to get Kyrie or Kawhi, some combination of those guys. But they also have D'Angelo Russell, who could be retained by the team, or he could go to a team that's giving him like a qualifying offer. Can you just tell us like a little bit about him that we don't see, as far as like leadership, what he brings to the table? And we see on the court, the guy can ball out. He's great, had a standout year, was an all-star. But what are some things that he does that maybe we don't see?
He's special. He's really locked in. So from his diet, from his sleep habits, from all those things, like during the season, he's super locked in. He eats right. He's in the gym first type of guy, and he leads by example. You want that from your best player to go out there and show up and be invested during the summer and hang out with guys and do those things that you want your leader to do. And I think he's tremendous at that. And any organization in the NBA will be really fortunate to have a point guard like him on their team. So obviously it's going to be a big summer for him, and he's put in all the work and deserves everything good that's coming his way. So
besides your dad, who was your biggest sports influence growing up?
Sports influence, man. It's a great question. I want to say it's my college coach. I want to say it's Bob Williams over at UCSB. Spent 19 seasons there. UCSB. He broke it down with me. It was a time after my sophomore year where I was first team all conference, and I weighed almost like 300 pounds or something like that. And he basically told me, like, you're talented. You can play in the NBA. You're good enough to do so. You just got to drop the weight. And from then on, I did it, and it ended up working out. And so I thank him every time I get a chance to for being honest with me and letting me know what I need to do in order to be successful. So that man right there definitely has done a lot for me. So
that's awesome. And was there any athlete growing up you tried to emulate at all?
I was a big Shaquille O'Neal fan. So Shaq's, from his personality to the style of play to his dominance on the court, was what I tried to replicate. Obviously, I didn't get the size that he has, but I tried to be that kind of a presence while I was on the court and dominate the game in the way that he did. And I think at a young age, I was able to do that. Obviously, I didn't get to be 7'1", so I had to find another way to try to do things. But always watching Shaq and just seeing how he operates and how he does it was fun for me as a kid.
Who is the sauciest guy in the NBA besides yourself?
PJ Tucker. I almost thought about that for a second, but then I was like, there's no question. It's definitely PJ. He brings so much style on and off the court. And he's really like locked into the fashion scene in the fashion world. So definitely PJ.
What's the best piece of advice you give anybody, whether it be for NBA success or just being able to persevere in general like you have?
Work hard, stay humble, and have fun. You know, it's got to be something fun. And with hard work, you'll be surprised at how far you can really get in life. People gravitate towards that. People who work hard and have a positive attitude and don't get too big on themselves. And I think that's the three things that I would say are huge: is to just stay humble, work hard, and have fun.
Wise words. So I really do appreciate the time, man. And before we let you go, where can fans find you online?
Alan T. Williams at all platforms, ALAN T. Williams at all platforms. And, I'm around. So